Hi, my name is Wasim Ahmed. I'm a native English teacher, and I'm making just a small video just to tell you about what my skills are, what my experiences are, what my qualifications are, and where I would like to be in the future. So I graduated in the field of construction, a bachelor's degree I have, and I worked in construction for a few years. Then I changed careers to work in the field of education. Thankfully, I'm a TEFL qualified teacher. TEFL bettered me as a teacher. It helped me implement recommended guidelines and strategies in my teaching when I was actually in classroom. It helped with my lesson planning, and it helped me implement known strategies within the class to better the standard of teaching for students. It also helped me recognise skill-based tasks like listening, reading, writing, and how important it is to better the language of a student and the correct methodology to apply. So thankfully I'm a TEFL teacher. I'm currently in the process of doing my CELTA. Well, I will be starting my CELTA in about 3 weeks time, and I think this will also help me develop further. So as far as experience is concerned, my experience teaching was primarily in Egypt, where I was living for an extended period of time, about 2.5 years that I did. I taught at 2 academies, the Passion English Training Academy and the SYE Spread Your English Academy. So I was teaching classes of many sizes and different age groups. I was teaching general classes, I was teaching conversation classes, and the whole aim of the class was to better the standard of a person's English. So primarily my lessons would start with a group discussion for over an hour, where I would get students to talk as much as possible, where I would ask them questions, then ask them follow-up questions, and the aim was to get them to talk and talk so I could better their grammar and better their pronunciation and increase in their vocabulary bank. So after the group discussion within the class, I would quickly hold a presentation in the class where I would get students to come and do a presentation to the rest of the class. This would better their skills. A lot of students lacking confidence, so it is important for them to exercise the skill. And then I would hold a debate in the class. This is further talking where people would give their different viewpoints about an issue. Primarily the lessons would be about crime or sport or health or marriage, everyday subjects that students like to talk about. So after the debate, I would quickly go over a point of pronunciation where I would tell a student how to pronounce, a certain word, or go through a rule of pronunciation. For example, the T after the letter N, the T is always silent in the American pronunciation. So after a point of pronunciation, I would go over a point of grammar. So whether it be, being able to use connecting words in the middle of sentences like although and nevertheless or additionally. And then after this, we would hold a break. After the break, we would do some reading where each student in the class would read a paragraph each of the reading article, and I would listen carefully and correct their English, and it would also help increase on their vocabulary bank. After the reading, we would go to a listening activity. In my opinion, it's important to exercise all 4 skills in the class: listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and this is what I try to do. So they would do a listening activity where they would listen to a pre-recorded video and try to fill in the gaps on their sheet. After the listening activity, we would go to a point of spelling, where I would go through how to spell difficult words in the English language, and then I would go through a point of punctuation, how to use maybe a comma in a sentence or an apostrophe. Everyday English, and in my opinion, it's very important to be able to cover each aspect of the English language. Being able to get a student to use an exclamation mark correctly when he is writing, or being able to speak very, very high standard English. There are many students in Egypt who didn't make so many grammar mistakes, and the way I would better their English is by replacing words that they use with bigger and more complex words. So it was teaching very, very high standard English. This is what I was doing in the predominantly the more developed levels, the level 11 to 15s. So I mean, being a native speaker is a privilege, and I've utilised that. I became one of the most popular teachers at Passion Academy and SYE Academy, where I showed high levels of dedication and commitment, where I would mark university assignments for students, where I would conduct one-to-one sessions, and give students feedback on how to better their language, where I would set homework for students, where I would set exams for students at the end of the module. So these were all kind of responsibilities that I took on working at the academies. It built me up as a teacher, it built my confidence up. My accent is now a neutral British accent and it's easy to understand than it was 2 years ago, for example. So I bettered my teaching skills primarily by working on the job, building my experience up, holding general classes where I would get students to use a book, or holding conversation classes where the lesson would be more talking. So this is primarily my experience of working in Egypt. On top of that, I embraced the culture. I bettered my own Arabic language. To be able to work in a different part of the world, it's important for you to be able to speak that kind of language, which is Arabic, and thankfully my Arabic is relatively good. I fit well into the culture of Egypt, and now I would like to move forward and move to Saudi Arabia, and I feel this is a brilliant opportunity. There is a lot of potential in Saudi Arabia for native speakers. I know there is a lot of demand. Thankfully, I have a lot of family who are already living in Saudi Arabia, and they told me about how brilliant the country is. I have no doubt whatsoever I can live in this kind of culture like I have lived in Egypt, and it is something that I would really like to get involved in. So that's it for me today. I really hope to hear from you soon. At the moment, I'm just working online as an English teacher for iTutor Group. I am teaching Chinese students online at the moment, and I'm hoping to move to Saudi Arabia this year. Hopefully after I've completed my CELTA qualification. I'll be completing it around mid-June time. But thank you for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm enthusiastic, I'm keen, I'm hardworking, and I really hope to hear from you soon. Being a native English speaker does not make you necessarily a good teacher, and I know that there's a lot of native speakers out there who are not actually good teachers, but I'm not like that. I believe that I have a very high level of capability. I can deliver intensive lessons where I'm doing at least 12 to 13 different activities within the lesson, whether it be role plays, debates, points of pronunciation, points of grammar, spelling, vocabulary. I would play approximately 4 to 5 videos within my class to keep my lessons interactive and try to get every student involved, not just the confident students but the not so confident students. So this is who I am. It's been an absolute pleasure making this video, and I really hope to hear from you soon. Assalamu alaikum.